What's going on YouTube? Today I'm going to be doing a review on the Samsung Galaxy S21 Ultra. First, the Canon M50. The Canon M50 is one of my favorite cameras due to its compact size and ease of use. The dual pixel autofocus works incredibly well for facial close-up shots, which is perfect for vlogging. The Canon M50 has a relatively short setup time and has a wide variety of different lenses, which is one of the camera's main advantages. I personally also like Canon's color reproduction in the footage. The Canon M50 has a pretty common 24 megapixel APC sensor, which is just over an inch in diameter. The Samsung S21 Ultra has a wide variety of different sensors, as well as dual pixel and laser autofocus, which works together accurately to stay focused in action shots. I personally think this gives an advantage over the Canon M50 when it comes to recording videos. As well as on the Samsung, you're able to unlock the bitrate to 300 megabytes per second through the use of FullMic Pro, which is absolutely incredible. It basically turns your smartphone into a professional video recording device. The Canon M50 features a 24 megapixel APS-C CMOS sensor with a Digic 8 processor. It can record at 4K at 24 frames per second, but with a 1.7 times crop. It can also record at 1080p for 60 frames per second, as well as 720p for 120 frames per second. It has an ISO range of 100 to 6400, which is expandable to 51200. The Samsung S21 Ultra has 4 different camera sensors, but for the purpose of this comparison video, we are looking at its main wide sensor, which is 108 megapixel optical image stabilization, dual pixel autofocus as well as laser autofocus. It can record 4K up to 60 frames per second and 1080p up to 240 frames per second. As we can see by this image, the Canon M50 and the Samsung S21 Ultra's main sensors are very similar in image quality. But the Canon M50 has a slightly stronger noise reduction, but defaults as the flatter areas appear a little smoother. The Samsung S21 Ultra has more aggressive sharpening as well as higher luminance noise, especially on the edge of the cup. The Canon M50 has a less saturated, more accurate natural color reproduction, especially in the yellows and the blues on the cup. Surprisingly, in these two photos, the Samsung S21 Ultra has significantly more detail in the branches, as well as a brighter and more vivid look to it, while the Canon has a more realistic toned down look to it. When we zoom in, we see a lot more noise and more of a messy look in general, as opposed to the Canon, where it captures the leaves and branches in a more realistic lifelike look. This image of the fireplace is a bit of a curveball, as I'd say the Samsung S21 Ultra has an advantage over the Canon in almost all aspects, including noise, sharpness, and color accuracy. The only aspect that the Canon clearly beats the Samsung S21 Ultra is in capturing the shadows realistically, where the phone blows out the shadows, which is obviously the AI working its magic. In this picture we can clearly see that the small detail of the twig hanging outside the fireplace is actually being captured more accurately by the Samsung S21 Ultra, as opposed to the Canon M50 where it is not as clear. The bokeh effect actually looks more natural on the Samsung S21 Ultra, which is probably due to the pixel autofocus working together with the laser focus, where the Canon M50 is working solely off dual pixel autofocus. The following clips are a comparison between the footage shot on the Canon M50 and the Samsung S21 Ultra. Both shots are recorded in 24 FPS in order to give a fair comparison between the real life footage that you can expect from both of these cameras. So what you can see immediately is that the optical image stabilization on the Samsung lens is much better than the image stabilization within the Canon lens. The Samsung's footage is also more vivid and the colors pop more, while the blacks and the shadows look deeper and more realistic on the Canon. Here is Samsung's special feature, which is being able to record in 8K. although an 8K optical image stabilization doesn't work, which means you need to use a tripod in order to not get shaky footage. The next special feature on the Samsung is being able to use an app called Format Pro, which enables you to record in 10-bit color, as well as color profiles such as Log V2 and unlocking the bit rates to 300 megabytes per second, while also unlocking many other professional features that only come on high-end cameras. If you enjoyed this comparison video, please leave a like and subscribe, as it will be extremely appreciated. Thanks a lot!